All right, guys, so we're gonna get started. Recording. I've graded your exams, so go ahead and look at those. If you have any questions. So let's go ahead. Right space. So that should be 372. So content. So today, so we are here, right? So we finish Hadoop, the Hadoop Lab, exam 2. Next week, we're doing SNMP. So it's a very important protocol for network management. So we'll do some slides and we'll have a simple lab for that. And then we just have a few loose ends that we'll cover towards the end of the semester. Just small topics. All right. But yeah, so that's kind of where we are. Today we're going to do Bash, which, so let's see, Anaconda and Docker. Rep and awk, we're going to cover that with a lecture. This is an important topic. Set UID is still pending. These are short, kind of miscellaneous topics, so it's not something that can fill a whole week. Instead, these are things that might be a lecture, and so that's kind of. But we just have like after this week, about 2 weeks of lectures essentially. So we'll wrap that up. This week we're going to do Bash, or I should say today, do Bash scripting. So we've been doing Python scripting all semester. So hopefully you're familiar with that now. You have a good sense of how you can use it for um, Linux. But obviously Bash is more of the native scripting language for Linux. So we're going to play with that today. It's less forgiving, essentially. So that's the syntax is a little bit different, harder in a sense, but it should be a fun day of just doing scripts. We're going to play with it a lot and just see a lot of power actually. Might at the end of the day say send emails, right, to via Linux. So we'll play with it and it should be fun. And that's kind of my plan for today. I will give you a homework assignment, which is going to be another easy one, which is going to be Wireshark reading number 2. So this, I think I've graded a lot of those already and pretty straightforward. So you get a second Wireshark reading this week, essentially. Bash scripting, I may create a homework with a few problems, but it's a lot of scripts that we're going to go through. So no homework on Bash, at least today. But let's talk about Wireshark reading just real quick. So this should be Wireshark reading 2, so the second one in the series. Same thing for just provide a one-page summary. So this is the document that you should go through, type of a tutorial. So, the drill, kind of read through it, download the PCAP files, open Wireshark in Linux, play with it. And then at the end, just provide a one-page summary of the Wireshark reading. So I'm going to create a assignment so we do a week from today. I'm going to create that now. Assignment. Wireshark 2. And this is today's the 2nd of April, so this will be due at 9:10 p.m. Provide a one-page summary of the given Wireshark. Right, and it should be open now. Should be open now. Stay open until 12. Okay. All right, so just gonna hit save and close. That's it. All right, so your homework assignment this week is given. Um, so yeah, so just make sure you work on it. All right, so now let's move on to Bash. Bash scripting is extremely important in Linux. And it seems hard for, going through all these scripts actually should be very helpful. And then if you go through all the scripts, um, you'll feel very comfortable with it. The end is just it's not very forgiving in terms of the syntax, I should say. But obviously, it is essentially the key thing is besides the syntax, it's like typing the commands in the terminal. You don't need to use Python sub process or anything like that. It just works. And so that's advantageous and useful. I'm gonna move this here. So I'm gonna move this there. All right, and essentially it's this is coding, so I'm not, we're just gonna boot up the VM and start writing some scripts, but I will provide the link for it. And the link is obviously on the GitHub that you are familiar with already. So we just need to go to GitHub, find the repo, Unix, Python scripting, this one over here. And then it's all these, right? So bash. So you can, these are the scripts I'm going to be using, so you can just get them from there and follow along. And that should be enough. Create a link. Let's say over here. Scripts, etc. And then there's the link. All right, so I've created it. All right, so we can go to the table of contents. There you have it. All right, so obviously we'll start with just some of the basics, ifs, for loops, while loops, things like that. And then we'll really quickly move into playing with just bash in general, and then do a few things that actually use some of the services of Linux, such as email. Email is always fun. So we'll try to send some emails from your Linux machine to your like Purdue account, right? So you can imagine how you can start creating spam, right? Spam. This. All right, so let's go ahead. So I've been providing material. Now let's go ahead and start the virtual machine. So I'm going to start a VM. We only need one VM for this today, so that's good. And we can start with some basic scripts, get them to work, and go from there. So I'm going to start a virtual machine here. It's running. Give it a minute. Right. Starting now. Go ahead and create a folder, bash scripts or something like that, and then we'll start playing with it. And as you can see in there, I have a lot of scripts, so I don't know that we'll have time to go through all of them today, right? So we'll see how it goes, but definitely very important. Are there questions before I begin? Yeah, what's up? Yeah, I just literally showed that. You go to Brightspace and there's a module called bash scripting. click on that, and then you click on this link, and it should take you to the repo. All right, so now, so the game should be starting in a second. And like I said, I'm just going to start. So we're going to show how variables are declared, used, if statements, loops, essentially arrays, some of the basic stuff. And then we'll start playing Linux and doing various things. It's taking a while to start. All right, finally. So we can go ahead and log in. This. So let's open up a terminal. Like I said, we'll create a folder. We're going to navigate to ITS 372. Spring 25. And ls-l. Okay, so we're going to call this batch scripts. Okay, right, and we're ready to start our first script. Okay, so this first one will just be related to if statements. Um, I created that in batch. I'm going to use the same names I have on my repo just so I know which script I've done already. So this is going to be script to.sh. All right, so this is going to be, so we're going to have the shebang, tell it that the bash is located in the bash folder if we make the script executable. So this is essentially all the scripts that you guys use all the time, like ls-l and cp and all of that. They are essentially this, just executable. And in your, in an environment variable where you have all your programs. That's essentially it. Nothing else going on. All right, so this is going to be in bash. So I'm going to create a variable. Now, in bash, things like this can cause an error. It varies, follow the syntax that I'm using. These little things can break the program, and they're very difficult to trace. Okay? So be careful with that. So as I said, it's last version. Right, so I'm creating a variable w called base, creating another variable dm called wx, and they're just so I can have some kind of logic in the if statements to test this out. So that we're going to look at how to create an if statement in bash. So essentially you can do if square brackets, and then notice the spaces that I'm using. double quote, and then you're going to use a variable that you've defined, you use the dollar sign. So then you're going to say base like that, and then one equal sign for the equality, and then essentially some variable that I'm comparing it to. So obviously this one is not in the variables. So, this will evaluate to false, right? But I'm saying if base equals Z, and then and two ampersands, and then you do another one here, square brackets. Notice the spacing, double quotes, dollar sign, dm, the other variable. Notice you reference it with the dollar sign, dm. Okay, and then you're going to say equal, and then another variable such as x, which is also going to evaluate false. All right. Then you're going to notice I'm leaving two spaces here, which might give me an error. So I want to be careful with that. Just leave one space. All right. Then you use a semicolon, and we can use the word then. So this is one way of doing if statements in Bash. All right. And then after that, indentation is not so critical here. So, and then you can just do echo single quotes. So if both of these match, then it's going to print A, essentially. It's just some logic I'm adding. Notice that we can, as I said before, in Bash, you can just use the Linux commands exactly as you would use them on the terminal. So that's one of the advantages of this. Obviously, a lot of the scripts in Linux itself are written in the native Bash. All right, so that's if. Then we have elif, right? So elif, and then the same thing. We're going to use the square brackets. Very similar notation. So space, double quote, dollar sign, base, equal. So you can see this was actually the contents of base. So this will be true. Notice the space here. Then two ampersands. What that? Just like this little that's going to be true. And then here we got the square brackets. And now we're going to say double quotes, dollar sign. And it says the same thing. An equality symbol. And then comparing it to the WS, which will be an exact match. So this will also evaluate. Okay. Right. And then we have semicolon. We have the word then. And then we're going to echo. So again, echo. So really the answer should be B, right? We run a script because the base has the letter W in it, and EM has the letters W and X. Yeah, I left a space here. I left space. Oh yeah, good catch. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, good catch. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So you'll see. Play with it. Don't leave these spaces in there, and you'll see what happens. And so, all right. Then we can also do else. Else the catch-all, and that's in this case. I'm just gonna say echo the letter C or something. All right, and then finally you close it with FI. All right, so this is the syntax, right, of Bash, just starting with some if statements, for loops, etc. All right, so now we can try it out. So I'm going to do Control X. So just like before, Python was in the bin folder, and then in the bin folder we have Bash. So I'm going to show you something important here. So we are going to do ls-l bin, and then there should be a lot of folders in there, right? So there's a lot of things. If we look at, I'm looking for, There it is. So if you look over here, there's this sh, which is it's just a symbolic link to something called dash. Okay. So dash, bash, CSH, they're all command interpreters. Okay. So they're all like the same program. CSH on the CVM, CSH actually is used on Macs, I think, as the default. Other systems will use something called bash. This one uses something called dash, right? But essentially, whenever we run the program, we just run sh because sh is a symbolic link to the program itself, okay? And on the seed VM, I think CSH by default has a vulnerability, and that's something that you guys might use in a future lab in a course like software assurance. But so these can have vulnerabilities. Obviously, that was left in there intentional. But Dash and Bash should be pretty secure, and this version of Ubuntu 2004 comes with this one called Dash. Essentially, they're just software programs that are command interpreters. Okay, so just giving you that piece of information. Generally, people will say Bash scripts. Okay, that's what people are going to say, but just the name might be a little bit different in the end, and you just reference it with the symbolic link sh, which is in your environment variable. So we should be able to use. All right, so yeah, so that's essentially what I wanted to say. So now we can go ahead and try it. So that's why I'm using sh here. So I'm going to do script 2, and as you can see, it prints out the letter. That's what's expected, given that we are, base is equal to W, DM is equal to WX, so this is a condition that we match, obviously, and that means it'll print out letter B. Got it? That's it. Pretty easy. All right, so remember, if you're not careful with the way that you write this script, you're going to have errors. Right, so that's kind of my intro to Bash. We have like over 20 scripts in here, I think, so we'll go over them. So there's a few basic ones that I'll start with, and then we'll just start working our way through them. So let's do script 3. Another example. So I'm going to keep all of these little scripts. Okay. So then I'm going to create a new one. /l pwd scripting. There we are. So now I'm going to nano same thing. This is remember for executable. Otherwise, we can just use that stage and bash. So this one, I'm just going to echo out question to the string, and then I'm going to read a variable, and I'm going to like work out our response with this sentence. Okay, so this show you how to read an input for this for the room. So we can do echo, and then that is for age, for instance. Okay, and then I'm going to read it in variable age, and then I'm going to echo out single quotes. And then the variable, remember now to reference it, you use the $sign. So you can write whatever you want in here, but essentially that's it. Okay, so just showing again, how to create variables that are read-in variables, and then how to display them on the screen. So notice this is the variable h, closer. So run it. So this would be script number 3 from GitHub. So sorry, of course I have it. sh script. What's your case? You can say you guys are code four, right? Uh, does that make sense? That's it. So, all right. That's two strips that we've done. We can do another strip. Let's see. There's an array one. I'm going to do one, a variable one and a statement one. So probably the next one should be loops. Uh, so I'm going to do a while loop, right? So I have a while loop sh script. So let's go ahead. Um, so that's going to be while underscore loop uh, dot sh. Same thing, the shebang. So information in dash. Right. So there we are. So n equal 0, sort of the start of counter, and then we're going to while, and we can do space, colon, 2, and then indentations that are already better. So that much. So echo, countdown, and then we reference the variable the dollar sign, right? And then to print out this variable, we use two parentheses like that, and then end. Right. Okay, and then just click them. All right, so this should increment the counter, and or there's no stopping criteria is there. It's kind of an infinite loop, but let's try it out. So that's H. Right, so it's n plus plus enough. It isn't a loop. It's printing correctly. So we got n equals 0 while. And if you guys spot anything, let me know. Echo. That is an N, isn't it? Could be that, I suppose. Hmm. This. So it's another way of doing this. As I can tell. All right, so there's another way of trying this. Let's see if it works. So it would be n $, square bracket, $, n plus 1. Let's see if this one works. Huh. Still, I feel like maybe it's something else. Okay, plus 0. Echo, countdown. Okay, I see my own note here. Okay, right, I get it now. So sometimes interpreters are different, handle things differently. So what I wrote on my notes here, you can see in the script it says use bash instead of dash or sh to run this syntax. Okay, so n plus plus. So what that would mean essentially is that instead of using sh directly like this, we should use bash. And there it is. See that? So that kind of shows you that different interpreters will handle things slightly differently. Okay. And you kind of have to be aware of that, which just makes things more great, right? So, but yeah, so be aware of that. So sh invokes dash, and dash was enabled to handle that syntax using directly the bash version of the whole command interpreter approach gives us the syntax works there. Do you guys see that? So always be careful with that one. Any questions? So we got it to work. All right, so ls-l. We got 3 scripts there. Okay, so good. So we did a while loop. So I have a for loop. So let's go ahead and take a look at that one. For loop sh. And again, use bash instead of sh or dash. So this I'm going to use the same approach. All right, so I'm going to hit clear. Obviously, if you wanted to use dash, I'm sure that you can. You just have to figure out the precise syntax. All right, so let's proceed. So we've got 3 scripts. Now I'm going to do a 4th one, which is going to be the for loop. For loop.sh. All right, same thing. We create the shebang, exclamation, bin, bash. All right, there we have it. Again, we're going to use bash. So for loop syntax, for 2 parentheses to open, 2 parentheses to close. Inside, I'm going to leave 1 space, n equal 2, semicolon, n less than or equal to 10, semicolon, and then n plus plus. Okay, so this syntax should work for loop. So then we do, do, then you do echo. Again, we use the $n and seconds or something. Okay, so then we can close. Finish your print from 2 to 10, uh, but using a for loop. So we're going to need to use bash here. There it is, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4, all the way to 10 seconds. All right, so pretty simple. Sure. All right, so these kind of show you ideas on how to get started. So let's now repeat one of the scripts that you did at the very beginning of the semester, the information gathering script, right? So you did that one the first week, but you did it in Python. Now we're just going to do it Bash itself. Okay, so this one is called system.sh in the repo, so you can just get it from there. System dot sh. Okay, the same thing. We have nation bin bash, and then we're going to do echo date. This is pretty straightforward because really you just have to have the Linux commands that you run in the terminal. And that's what you're going to have in. So I'm going to do date echo oops, echo uptime, right? And I'm going to do uptime here. Then echo memory usage, right? And then we're going to have, so that was uptime, let's say free dash m, related to memory, and then something network usage, go network usage. So nowadays, I will say you guys are kind of lucky or unlucky because if you ever want to write a bash script, this is a great use case for ChatGPT. Right? So if you ever want to, for whatever task you have, just go to ChatGPT, ask it for it'll give you something that's pretty good. It's pretty simple, so the accuracy is probably very good. But still, you have to understand, right? So that remember the scripting, a lot of people say programming is dead. I disagree. You can use these tools, but you still kind of want to know a little bit so that you can take it the extra mile or understand that it's correct. So it's just a great tool. It's no different almost than the Google Camera. All right, so let's do network usage, IP, A, something related to this. Right, so you can see this is a system information gathering script, way simpler. Now you can control X, Y, enter. What's that? I wasn't doing a for loop, right? That's only if you have these structures like an if statement or for loop, or but for these, if you remember, it's C, C++, use curly brackets, essentially. All right. So yeah, so go ahead and run it. This one should run on just regular sh. Whoops. Okay. No, actually, that's correct, right? I thought it was an error. It's just the network. All right, so it's giving you the interfaces, it's giving you the information about memory, uptime, so see where to collect data. Let's do something interesting, and then we'll come back to some of these. Let's do fun, right? So let's try to do it. So I have one in there called email. Should be this one. Email sh. Right. So let's play with this idea. So ls-l nano email sh. Right. And then we're gonna do so pound sign exclamation bin bash. Okay. We're going to need to install program, the mail utils uh, function. So we'll have to do an apt-get install there. So, but I'll write it here. So these are the things you need to do. So on the terminal, you're going to write sudo apt-get install, and then it's going to mail utils. And then you're also going to on the terminal something like mail, right? And that allows you to check your mail. That's the mail program by default in your Linux system. What we're going to do now is we're going to write an email, right? So we're going to create an email, and then using the mail program, we're going to send it out. All right. So it needs to have, the subject, the recipient, and all. So let's try. I'm going to create a variable called recipient. Right? And we're going to send this to the account. Dominic. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do recipient here. So I'm just going to send it to the root account, for instance, or you can play with other accounts. Then I'm going to do my subject. So my subject. Okay. This is going to be something. So the message in the email. So error installation has to be in there. Error installation. So, all right. Then we're going to do my message. My message. And this is the actual message that you're going to write in here. So we're going to do equal. And the message is going to be hello. It's a message. I am getting an error with CUDA 6. All right, just the message that I'm sending in the email. And then we're going to send it. So we're going to use the little on the upper left-hand corner next to the one, there should be a little character that looks like that. It's like a single quote, but inverted. So use those two. And we're going to say mail dash S. And then you're going to add my subject. Remember the $sign to reference the variable. My subject. Space, then $sign recipient. And then you're going to pass to this the message. So use 3 less than symbols. And then $sign my message. Okay. All right. So yeah, so that's the approach. All right. So let's save the script. Before running it, we have to install. I probably already have this tool, but you should run sudo apt-get install mail utils. Okay. So run that one. I already have it, but you guys go ahead and install it. Okay. Did you do it? Yeah. Okay, issues? Yeah. Oh, is it? Okay. What does the configuration page say? Because I've already done this, so. Paul? Yeah, just hit enter. Well, I mean, it's got default values in there. Got a internet site one by default. Hit that one, internet site, whatever it has default. And then, yeah. But, yeah. How about the concern? All right, so let's see if it works, right? But yeah, the command was clear on the CVM. It's this one, mail utils, right? Then run mail. That's the program. It shows, as you can see, some messages, right? Um, so three, and then it shows you all the details of the message. This is really old school. This is how it used to be essentially. Remember the history of Linux when we talked about it a few weeks ago, right? It started at universities, Linux systems, and people would just send email like this. So let's go ahead now and try to run the script and see what happens. I'm going to make a modification to it, given that it's the same message that I used last year. So I want it to be a little bit different. So I'm going to say uh, crypto price. Right, so if I write want to buy some crypto, it's going to get flagged by the university as spam probably. So let me change that. That's why I used error last semester. So I'll just say another error. Error in Windows. Windows VPN, something like that. All right. So I'm getting error with my get it with yen. Okay. So let's try it first here on the machine, local machine. So I'm gonna try to run this script. sh direction unexpected. I have an error. Now dash else subject recipient. This is $3. My message. There's the symbol. So I think it's correct. Try bash, I guess. Could be that. I'm getting an error, but I'm just checking my syntax here. If you guys see something, let me know, please. All right, so I'm going to try this with bash. Okay, so it went through with bash. All right, so now we want to check mail. So there's a fourth one, which makes me think is that delivered mail. Do you guys see the message in there somewhere? Yeah, VPN. So let's try it again. So let's send it to seed. Error in Windows VPN, my subject, my message, hello, I am getting an error, my VPN. All right, let's try this again. Using bash, sends it, mail. So here's another one. Oh, seed, okay. But there's some kind of an error. So let's take a look at number 5. Right, so there's the message. Um, Subject is error for some reason. I am getting an error with my VPN. Do you guys see this? Any questions? Yeah. How about the rest of you? Did any of you get this to work? You got it. Mhm. Okay. Well, I mean, you really just have to. Did you do sudo when you did this? Sudo apt-get install mail utils. You can do sudo apt-get update first. All right. And then once that's done, I would run sudo apt-get install mail utils. Right. I have it installed already. If mail doesn't work, try sudo mail maybe. Permission. Hmm. This gives you like literally everything. But yeah, those are the messages that I have. And then really in the script, and I'm using bash, nano email, sh, bin bash, these are the commands. Recipient, I changed it to seed. 25. Here, my subject message. I'll change it. Like I said, this is a single, it's the symbol here, the upper left-hand corner is the symbol next to the one. So little like an accent thing, like a single quote, but like this, right? And you have to have that at the end as well, which I have here. Then you do mail dash S, $ my subject, $ recipient, my message. So control X, Y, clear. I guess you can also consider using sudo here, Antonio. Might consider using sudo bash email.sh. Sudo apt-get remove the package to do that. All right, how about the rest of you? Did you guys try this? Did you get it to work? Yeah. All right. Any questions? I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, bring the computers.
Well, I'm just thinking, I'm not really sure how to get out of it. The only way to get out of that screen is hitting escape. Answer doesn't do
Yeah,
anything.
just so should chosen to leave the current configuration and change if mail is sent, receive directly. Ooh,
I not escape. Just make it back to the screen.
okay.